You're welcome back to the conversation. News Central Television is now time for us to switch gears and discuss other issues.
And we continue with situations in Nigeria where the rift in the camp of the opposition People's Democratic Party thickens. The governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has met with key members of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, in London. A meeting some analysts have considered an apparent move to either leave the party or scuttle the chances of its presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. The party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, and Wike have been at loggerheads for months now, following the outcome of the party's presidential primaries.
Now, it was learned that Governor Wike, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi, and the National Secretary for the All Progressive Congress, Yola Omisore, met in London over the weekend to explore the areas of collaboration ahead of the 2023 elections. This development is coming a day after a key ally of Wike, Abia State Governor Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu, clarified that he would not leave the main opposition party, explaining that his alliance with Wike was to negotiate better deals for the Southeast. Recall that the crisis between the party's national chairman, Yosha Ayu, and Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike took a turn for the worse on Thursday, when the governor took a swipe at the PDP national chairman, alleging that Ayu's actions had clearly shown that he did not want the party to win the 2023 elections. Now, joining us to discuss all of this and more, we have Doherty Adedeji, a former chairman of the Lagos State PDP, and Samson Newton, a legal practitioner. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being a part of the conversation. Now, I'd like to start with Mr. Adedeji. As a party man, Nyesom Wike, or your state governor, Seyi Makinde, Ekiti State Governor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, and the Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, Yola Omisore, were reported to have met in London. What do you make of all of this? And as someone that is a sitting governor of the opposition People's Democratic Party, frolicking and meeting with members of the opposition, not just once but twice, does this not constitute anti-party activities? What do you make of all of this?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm not really aware of that particular meeting that you're talking about. You said that happened this weekend. But however, I think the last meeting that they had in London, on arrival of the Nyesom Wike team, they had an interview at the airport where they said that the discussions across party lines was really in the interest of the country first. And they mentioned the few things that were happening in the country: the economy, the insecurity, and the economic situation with most of Nigerians across the entire country. So I will really think that that will be top of their agenda. But at the same time, you know that politics is all about interest. And if the discussions go in a way that they might find out that their interest is more secure in the APC, then we in the PDP might have a bumpy ride building up to the 2023 election.
Okay, thank you so much, Doherty. Right now, let me bring in our other legal practitioner, Samson Newton. Now, you heard from a member of the PDP talking about the issues going on in the PDP, but there have been reports that we saw Wike going to meet members of the ruling All Progressives Congress. And we've also seen Wike also go out to also meet Tinubu and the rest in London. I mean, what do you make of this move by Nyesom Wike in the Rivers State government?
Thank you very much. I believe that, like Mr. Doherty said, the issue of interest is what is most paramount when it comes to politics. Wike is beautiful bride right now, and it's also the first time it will be without any form of assurance when it comes to political power and political will. After this tenure, once he leaves his post as an executive governor of Rivers State, he really has nowhere to land at the moment, seeing full well that he has burned so many bridges with his PDP compatriots. So right now we need to secure very well-established lines to protect himself in the future. Because politically, once it's done, without any form of support from the federal or the ruling party, whoever eventually becomes the winner in 2023, Wike might be in a political limbo, and he needs to secure his interest. He needs to protect himself, and he needs to show that he's still relevant politically. So that is why you will see him having discussions with both the Labour Party as well as the APC, because he's trying to weigh his options to know which one would really favor him when it comes to the issue of political will at the end of the day.
Thank you. Now, Doherty, is Mr. Wike's grouse against the national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, is it personal? Because some have said, you know, it's gone beyond Wike only, that the genesis of all of this is because the national chairman, Mr. Iyorchia Ayu, did not fulfill his promise. He said he will step down from his position as national chairman if a northerner emerged the presidential candidate. A northerner has since emerged in the person of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and he didn't fulfill his promise, and that's why Wike has been at loggerheads with him. So is this about Wike's personal ambition, or is it about fairness, justice and equity, and some type of, you know, fairness in the PDP's arrangements? Because you have a situation where the national chairman is a northerner and the presidential candidate is also a northerner. So are Wike's concerns legitimate, and is there fairness in the People's Democratic Party?
Well, to be quite honest with you, like I said, most politicians do a lot of things based on interest. And this is not an exception. That is, you know, that is just the way politics goes. However, to answer your question directly, okay, Governor Wike has been a serious party-man. He's a gentleman, a very jovial person. He has also been in the PDP for quite a long time, and he has participated on all levels. Now, the issue of Governor Wike losing the presidential primaries is a different thing compared to what we're really seeing. Because I personally, I had tried to see how I could talk to one or two people about the rhetorics after the election. Yes, Vice President Atiku Abubakar won that election fair and square. Now, the rhetorics after that and managing the wounds of participants is what most of the Atiku Abubakar spokespeople did not do very well. And that was to PDP's detriment. You understand? So it isn't an issue that is personal to Wike or personal to Wike and Atiku, but it is an issue of people coming in and throwing all kinds of rhetorics at the person that is hurting. And now it's gotten to a level that we can only pray and hope that Governor Wike and Vice President Atiku Abubakar are able to sit just by themselves alone.
So do you feel, sorry to butt in here, do you feel that Atiku should have weighed on the matter at this point? Because a lot of people are complaining that most likely Atiku is favoring the national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu. Do you feel that Atiku should have intervened in this matter?
Abubakar, if you know him, he's also a gentleman and he's a man that likes to delegate positions to people. It's when you err, then he decides to step in. I hope it's not too late for him to step in personally himself now, but I believe that there is always room for negotiations. There's always room for discussions and agreements, when it gets to this kind of level. But I will say that the rhetorics that had come, and also the part the media had played, because we are aware that the APC had already dished out quite a lot of money to various journalists and media houses to hype, whatever discussions is going on between Atiku Abubakar and Governor Wike. So, the different hands had come into play, but I believe and I hope that they are able to, both parties are able to understand that there have been fifth columnists in their midst trying to make sure that this thing gets out of hand.
Okay.
And I hope it doesn't.
Thank you. I would like to use this opportunity to bring in Wale Ogunade. He's the president of Voters Awareness Initiative. Wale, a very good evening to you and thanks for joining us on the conversation.
Good evening. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, Wale, we've seen a rift in the opposition People's Democratic Party, and it seems London in the United Kingdom is a preferred destination for political meetings these days, because we've seen a lot of trips there by governors and political figures in Nigeria. As we inch towards the 2023 elections, how much of all of these discussions and meetings about the future of 200 million Nigerians, or do you believe these politicians are just meeting for their own future and interests? What do you make of all of this?
Yes. In school, I did a little bit of political science before I became a lawyer, and I know that we did a course with interest, national interest, personal interest, whose interest. And of course, it's quite clear that the politicians are not interested in the Nigerian people. Rather, they're interested in themselves. It's just their interest and nothing more.
But Wale, people, sorry to butt in here, Wale, people, some would tell you that, you're not purview to the meetings. You're not in London. So how do you know they're not discussing how to make Nigeria a better place?
I need not to be in the meeting. If reports are anything to go by from the social media, obviously, except, and don't forget, nobody of all these principal actors have come to debunk that, yes, what has been transpiring in the meeting is a lie, that what they are doing is to meet for how to salvage Nigeria, how to ensure that Nigerians get real dividends of democracy, how Nigeria can be a better place. In fact, it's a slap on Nigerians that these leaders, as they call themselves, go to London, choose London as a place to meet. Other countries don't come to, politicians from other countries don't come to Nigeria for meetings. They go there, and of course, not their money anyway, it's the taxpayers' money. So to that extent, that is another issue entirely. That why must they go outside Nigeria, the shores of Nigeria, to have a meeting that concerns Nigeria, if not because there is something fishy? And again, just as I said earlier on, for the mere fact that none of them has come to say, no, the meeting is entirely for our own, for the purpose of improving Nigeria's laws. Okay, but what has been coming out of the meeting is about sports, It's about interest. It's about backsliding, backslapping. It's about horse trading, and so many. So to us, Nigerians, the average Nigerians, they are just there deceiving themselves. They have forgotten that this vote belongs to the people. That's what the Constitution says. Sovereignty belongs to the people, Section 12 of the 1999 Constitution. So the people will use the power of the vote this time around. And I really, before I move for that, I want to appreciate this your platform, News Central, for this news, for bringing us up to speed in processes like this, so that we know and put Nigeria abreast. And again, the second one is that I want to appreciate you for this question. They are not there for Nigerians, they are there for themselves. If not, one will expect that whatever they are doing will be the ambit of the Nigerian people, carrying the Nigerian people along, having stakeholders meetings, having town hall meetings where everybody will be involved in the deliberations. Not that they now have a nocturnal meetings in the night in a hotel in London, in somebody's houses in London, and now tell us that they are there for us. Not for us, not for us.
Okay.
Not for us.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Ogunade. I'll stay with you now. You talk about the interests of the party away from the people. But let's also look at the internal going on in the party, internal wranglings going on in the party. You see what's happened between the national chairman of the PDP, which is the major opposition party, Iyorchia Ayu, and the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike. Started with the primaries, of which Atiku was picked. And then at the end, it seems like, according to Wike's camp, that it has gone past the agreement and Iyorchia Ayu should resign, having the presidential candidate and the national chairman of the party from the northern region. How do you think Iyorchia Ayu has handled the affairs of the PDP so well?
Yes, you see, unfortunately, politicians don't work with morals. They think they can just take people, they just make statements, and after some time, they think that people will forget. Before I go further, there are two Nigerians that I really hold in high esteem in this regard. Not that I move with them in that regard, but I just like them because they are sagacious, they are strategists, they know what they are doing. And the two of them are Bola Tinubu and Wike. These are people who know their onions. Let me land on with Wike. Wike wants to use the opportunity that exists for his own capital gain. What is there? Before the election, before the primaries came up, Iyorchia was not in the inking. He was not in the picture. Then they now brought him up, and they now said, well, if the presidential candidate of the PDP will come from the north, definitely he is going to step down. It was in the news. So the presidential candidate eventually came from the north. That's Atiku Abubakar. As a gentleman, you must respect your word. And of course, it's a natural thing that we can now want to champion this cause, even if it's not for him, as he's saying, but from the south, so that there's what we call power balancing. You take the north as a presidential candidate, and again, you are sitting on the deck of the north as a chairman. Obviously, that does not sound well. And to me, I support the fight of Wike in this regard. And one will expect that common sense will prevail.
And do you also support the nature of the fight? If you support, do you support the nature of the fight, calling names and all that? Do you support that also?
No. I'm a gentleman. But again, don't forget that they are politicians. They can call themselves names. They can do whatever they want.
Small
but
boys.
You see, the name calling are what makes it sweet. That's what makes it interesting and, of course, attractive. Maybe for news headline now, they say Wike slaps Atiku.
We are based on facts on News Central TV.
And it's not, I mean, it doesn't augur well for children. It doesn't sound inspirational for young Nigerians. You know, we got this man out of the gutter. This is a small boy and all of that. I'd like to say a big thank you to Mr. Doherty, Adedeji, Samson Newton, and of course yourself, Wale Ogunade.
Ogunade, thank you.
To God be the glory.
Okay, I believe we can still take one or two questions before we wrap things up. And I would like to pose that question to Mr. Doherty. My producer just told me via the talkback. Now, Mr. Doherty, you're a member of the opposition People's Democratic Party. It's less than 5 months to next year's general elections. How much of trouble will the PDP be in if it doesn't get its house in order? And do you think this rift will be settled anytime soon? Are there been entreaties and, diplomatic means to see the warring parties come together and shit their swords?
Well, 24 hours is very, very long time in politics. You know, anything can happen, and also both negatively and positively. To be quite candid with you, after 24 years in the People's Democratic Party, I think personally I've come to a point where I am highly embarrassed, highly disappointed, not happy about the way we have handled this very little crisis. If everybody is ready to sacrifice for the party, I think telling the national chairman, if he had committed himself to resigning from his position, if the president comes from the north, then I think it's not too much a big sacrifice to do. You know, I was chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Lagos State for 2.5 years, and one or two leaders, bantered out that you want him to resign, want him to leave, and I said, well, so be it. Let them go look for someone else. You understand? Because
it's not a do or
it's a
die
sacrifice.
affair.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice to serve the party. It's not something that is a profession, or it shouldn't be looked at as a profession or anything like that. So if, and I say again, if the national chairman had already said in one of the meetings before the primaries that he would resign if the national, if the candidate comes from the north, then it would be only honorable for him to follow through with that. But having said that, I believe that there's still room. There's, we don't have the elections till February. The candidate has been chosen. The campaigns are going to start on the 28th of this month, and between now and the 28th, I hope that Vice President Atiku Abubakar will make the move and see Governor Wike. If one has to massage his ego, then one has to massage it, because he's been bruised, he's been battered, he's been insulted. You really don't hear Governor Wike insulting someone first. You hear they insulting him first. So it's something that has to be really managed. Before we get to the 28th of this month. I think the 28th of this month is the threshold, it's the red line.
All right, thank you so much, Doherty Adedeji, former chairman of the Lagos PDP, and of course, Barrister Wale Ogunade. We do hope for the best. We have the third phase coming up, that is the Labour Party, and we want to see how the opposition, the main opposition party, the PDP, will handle all this. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation.
Thank you, gentlemen. This is where we wrap the conversation on today. In the first half of the show, we did look at the Supreme Court verdict upholding William Ruto's election as the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya. We just concluded our conversation on the internal wranglings in the opposition People's Democratic Party. Thanks for being a part of the show. I am Gbenga Aborowa.
And I am Rita Omodia. See you again on Wednesday.
Goodbye.